welcome back to the Power Hour. Thank you so very much for joining us, and I know you're going to be glad you tuned in because we're going to hear from Pastor Kent Hovind, one of his first interviews out of prison in an unjust situation. He did not deserve to go to prison, and he's going to join us today thanks to Rudy, who has been an amazing helpmate for him. I cannot believe what he and his wife have done to support this man in prison, and essentially, thanks to the Lord's guidance, direction, he is now out of prison, and Dr. Dino, he does not need any introduction with this audience. And if you haven't seen his series on evolution versus creationism, oh, you've got to. You've got to see it. It is just awesome. Anyway, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are so in celebration with you, Pastor Kent Hovind. Thank you for joining us in the Power Hour today.
Well, thank you, ma'am. It's an honor to be here. And there won't be any interruptions this time saying this is a call from the Santa Rosa County Jail.
That's right.
I cannot believe how technology has changed since I've been gone. For 9 years I've been locked up. They have brought the outhouse into the buildings. I can't believe it. And they have a little lever on there and you flush it and never mind. Anyway, it's been pretty cool. Well, for those who may not know, my name's Kent Hovind. I was a high school science and math teacher for 15 years. I moved to Pensacola, Florida, January 1989 to put my wife through college. We had our 42nd anniversary 2 days ago. And I have 3 children and 5 grandchildren. They all live next door. Matter of fact, the grandkids are coming over today. I get to babysit. They're, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So
wow.
Wonderful. I'm technically still in prison. I got to stay within 150 feet of this box on the back porch with a little ankle thing, GPS unit on my ankle, so it'll beep or they'll send the SWAT team or I don't know what they do if I get outside 150-foot range. But I don't mind being home for 30 days after being gone for all that time. When we moved here, shortly after coming to Pensacola, I started the ministry Creation Science Evangelism, basically dealing with the scientific evidence supporting the Bible being exactly accurate as written. I get so disgusted with that stupid evolution theory, that's taught like it's some kind of fact in our schools. And it's technically a religion. It's not even a theory. People happen to believe those things, but there's no evidence for that. So I traveled all over speaking on creation, evolution, and dinosaurs, and produced videotapes. They're in 42 languages. They go all over the place stirring up trouble.
Really? 42 languages? That's incredible.
Yeah, we get calls and letters from all over the world. People say, "Wow, I watched those videos and got saved." And it's amazing to see the outreach that God has just from our little ministry here in Pensacola. It's just I'm humbled that God would just use us for anything, especially to the extent that He has. But in 2 Peter chapter 3 in the Bible, it says, "In the last days, the scoffers," and there are plenty of them. I've done 105 debates now with atheist universities.
Oh, wow.
It says the scoffers will be willingly ignorant. You can look that up in the Hebrew. It means dumb on purpose. The scoffers are willingly ignorant of how God made the heavens and how the earth was standing in the water and out of the water. That's an interesting phrase. I covered that in my video number 1. What was the earth like when God first made it? Why did they live to be 900 years old? Why do we find fossils of animals that are enormous size? So they find fossil sunflowers that are 100 feet tall. They find fossil cockroaches 18 inches long and fossil dragonflies with 50-inch wingspan. The list is on and on and on. A fossil guinea pig was found. A guinea pig that would have weighed 1,500 pounds. Everything before the big flood came in the days of Noah was gigantic. And so the earth was just very different. And people, Christians especially, but everybody needs to understand when God made the world, He made it perfect. And man's sin messed it up. And what we're seeing today is a junkyard compared to what Adam and Eve saw. This is nice. I mean, I like it, but this is nothing compared to what they had and lived in. And then they sinned and, the women would say that it's the man's fault. The man would say it's the women's fault, but that's a different argument. Adam's first, his wife ate him out of house and home. But they messed it up. And then the flood came about 1,600 years later and really messed things up, totally destroyed the real estate. And today the planet we're on is, still 70% underwater. And only 3% of this planet is habitable for mankind. And yet God said in Isaiah 45, he created the earth to be inhabited. You know, most of the water that we see on the surface in the oceans used to be down in the crust of the earth, maybe 8 or 10 miles down. If you read Psalm 24, verse 1 and 2, and Psalm 33, and Psalm 136, there are 3 references to the water being in the earth, and the earth being founded on top of the water. That's been a great study of mine, being an earth science teacher for many years. You know, what was the original earth like? You know, people say, where did all that water for the flood come from? Okay, it came from inside the earth. And where did it all go? You say, well, it's still here. It's on that way. It's on some, they're called oceans, okay? They're huge puddles of water on this planet left over from that flood. If you smoothed out the earth today, just smooth it out, the water would be 1.5 miles deep everywhere. The whole world would be covered with 1.5 miles of water. Well, there's plenty of water anyway. But 2 Peter said the scoffers are ignorant of the creation and the flood and the coming judgment. And I'm embarrassed it took me so long to figure out, but I have had to, during my prison time, really poured myself into the study of end times, because there are 5 basic theories of what's coming next, the sequence of events, post-trib, mid-trib, pre-trib, amillennial, and all this. I have studied them all till my brain hurts, and I have had to go back to what is the historic position of the church. For 1,800 years, the church taught we will be here for the tribulation. We will not be here when God pours out his wrath on the earth. And so I'm embarrassed as a Christian for 46 years now that I missed the obvious teaching of the Bible on the sequence of events. But I got it now, and the church had it right for 1,800 years, until some 15-year-old girl in Scotland had a dream about the pre-trib rapture, and that kind of messed up everybody's theology. But the point would be, in 2 Peter 3, there are 3 items talked about: the creation, the flood, and the coming judgment. I traveled for years and taught on creation and flood, and now I'm going to add a whole section on what on earth is about to happen, what's coming next. We have some royal serious problems coming on this planet, and Christians are so unprepared.
Yes. Absolutely. And you know what? They're being prepared by pastors who tell them, like, there was a guy at Rice Road Church here, and I was watching in Missouri, and I just have to tell you this because he disturbed me so much. He started talking about the IRS, how we all hate the IRS. He said, well, you should not. You should not. You should ingratiate them. You should pay whatever you owe. You should enjoy the fact that the TSA treats you that way. I mean, he was going on and on about this. And I thought, oh my gosh, how many people is he reaching with the wrong message? That all this stuff they do to us is okay because they put God put all these people in the government to do what they do. We should adhere to what each and every one of them says. And I just could only think about you and what you had been through and how unbelievable this man's statement was.
Well, it's partially true. Of course, God tells us to obey the authorities over us. Paul said in Romans 13, submit yourself to every ordinance of man. I agree. And I asked people, now, where was Paul when he wrote this? He was in prison. And why was he in prison? Well, he didn't obey their orders to quit preaching. So obviously there are times when you don't obey the authority if they tell you to violate God's law or God's clear word. But yeah, that's not a battle I fight. I mean, I've always tried to do everything properly and right. And they arrested me 9 years. 9 years ago on the 13th, 9 years and 3 days ago, the SWAT team came out here, arrested me. Getting ready, reading my Bible, getting ready for staff devotions. Pulled my wife out of bed, wouldn't let her get dressed, put a robe on her, go to the bathroom, handcuffed her, and took her down to the courthouse in her nightgown to be indicted for structuring. I said, what on earth is structuring? They said, well, you took your own money out of your bank in amounts less than $10,000. Okay, and what's the crime here now?
Yeah.
That's what I went to prison for structuring. I said, I've never heard of this. What is it? Congress passed one of the dumbest laws in the history of humanity. They were trying to catch drug dealers, and they said, okay, if anybody takes out more than $10,000, the bank has to fill out a form. And so the drug dealers did not want that form filled out and to get on their radar, I guess. I don't know. I've never taken drugs. I've never tasted alcohol. But the drug dealers started going down in the morning, take out $9,000, and go in the afternoon and take out $9,000. And and now the bank won't fill out their form. So Congress passed another dumb law that said, well, if somebody does 2 transactions in one day, they total over 10,000, but each transaction is under 10,000. Now that is structuring your transactions to avoid the reporting requirement. Okay, well, we never did that either. My wife would go down every 2 weeks, once every 12 days, and take money out of the bank to have on hand for all the projects we had going. We had 40 people on staff. We bought up 6 or 8 houses in the neighborhood to slowly be able to expand the ministry. It's an older neighborhood built in the 40s, so you can buy a house and an acre of land for $40,000, $50,000. And all of them needed, something. So it's just simple to hand a college kid, hey, here's $1,000, go buy shingles for this house, or go buy plywood, or go get what you need, And so we went through a lot of cash every couple of weeks on these projects. Plus, we were opening our Dinosaur Adventure Land. Well, and the pastor told us, he said, Kent, try to keep withdrawals under 10,000 if you can. Okay, no problem. And, several times, I think 4 times in that 3-year period, my wife took out more than 10,000, and the bank filled out their little form. No problem. 2002, late 2002, the trustee of the new ministry said, hey, Kent, stop this cash withdrawal, just get credit cards. I said, I don't want a bunch of college students having credit cards running off of them. He said, well, just get 1 or 2 that you can trust and put them in charge. Okay, so we did that.
Okay, we got a 4-minute break. We'll be back with the Pastor Kent Hovind. So thrilled. He is out of prison and on the Power Hour today. We'll be right back. Stay tuned to the Power Hour. This is Joyce Riley. Welcome back to Power Hour. Thank you for joining us. We are so honored to have Pastor Kent Hovind joining us today. Pastor, before we go on, I'd like to hear where people can support you. How can they get your Dr. Dino series? How can they support you in your other videos and DVDs? Where can they obtain them?
Well, thank you, ma'am. My son, Eric, is doing a fabulous job traveling and preaching, and he started a new ministry, so they leave him alone. That's creationtoday.org. creationtoday.org. He has all my videos on there, and I did a series, a 18-hour-long series covering everything on creation, evolution, dinosaurs, the flood, etc., including one of my favorite, video number 4, Lies in the Textbooks. It's almost 3 hours long of all of the lies they use to teach this stupid evolution theory. I also did over 100 debates, but 20 of them are on DVD and video. They can get those from creationtoday.org. My son is producing a 3D Genesis movie. That is going to be incredible.
Whoa!
Really, really expensive. But one of those top of the line. They've been on it for 1.5 years, production for this thing, and I can't believe all the computer power it takes to do 3D. But anyway, you can also see about that on creationtoday.org. He's just
okay. And let me just add that this is a way you can support them. That's one way. I mean, I'm sure there's other ways that you can support them, but please say thank you by purchasing from creationtoday.org. Get those for your children and grandchildren. They are just amazing. I know Josh, my partner on Fridays here, he has shown it to his children over and over again. So please go to creationtoday.org and purchase from Kent Hovind, from his son, and keep them in business so they can do more and more of the good works. We've only got till the bottom of the hour, unfortunately, today, but I wanted you to share with us anything you have on your heart as to what you want to do from this point on, where you're going, what your goals are, or anything you want to share with the listeners.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, the goal, of course, is to win the whole world to Christ. Win souls. Nothing else is going to matter in 1,000,000 years. So I encourage everybody, if you're not a Christian, get saved. If you are a Christian, get busy winning people to Christ. It's easy. While I was in prison, I was able to lead over almost 800 men to the Lord, and many are growing well, and written 37 books. Some of those are published, and we're putting that stuff up. There's several websites that cover my material. There's 2peter3.com, just the number 2, the word Peter, and the number 3. Ernie Land is going to be the trustee of a new ministry that we should have ready today or tomorrow, if people want to get me started again, because they took away everything. I feel like Job, got nothing left. That's DocFog, DocFog, at DocFog.com. Ernie Land will be the trustee, and we spent all day yesterday brainstorming on ideas, and so I'm starting from ground zero. My son will be a separate ministry to keep him away, and I kind of have a bullseye on my head. I think they don't like me for some reason. But the whole goal is to get people excited about winning souls and living for God. And if you're listening and you're a Christian and have questions about creation, evolution, dinosaurs, how does it all fit? My position is that the Bible is exactly correct as written. The earth is only 6,000 years old. It was destroyed by a flood, and you can trust God's word on everything. So I'm going to be starting a YouTube channel here soon. I hope maybe today, Kent Hovind official YouTube. My son is already using that. You can watch my videos right there, by the way. I think it's called Official Kent Hovind, or I don't know. I'm not sure what a YouTube is yet. I got a lot to learn, so I'll find all that out here.
Oh my goodness! What was it like to see your wife again, to be in your home again? Just share that. It must have been a glorious experience. It
was. We have lived right here for 26 years, and after 9 years of being in prison, and this has been so hard on her. They're terrorists that came, arrested her in her nightgown, and wouldn't let her get dressed. I mean, she's still pretty terrorized over the whole thing, but she'll be fine. She's tough. We've been married 42 years and 2 days, so just pray for her. Her name is Jo, J-O, and love her very much, and try to stick it out for maybe 100 more years.
Aw, that is so special. That is so special. To see your children again, to grandchildren you hadn't seen before. I mean, what an emotional time that must have been.
Well, I have my 8.5-year-old grandson was born 2 months after I came to prison, so I had never, ever held him in freedom until last week. And he and I are just best buddies now. He comes down here every day. Grandpa, listen, we got a lot of lost time to make up for, but it'll be fine. God's been good. So much of the Bible is written from prison or captivity, and it's like Psalm 126. When the Lord turned again to captivity, it's like a dream. It's like I just left on a trip, was gone for 2 days, and came back. It's bizarre. Wow. Amazing.
So we are so honored to have you on the show today, celebrating with you. We want you to know that we support you, love you, and everybody go to creationtoday.org. Pastor Kent Hovind, we salute you at the Power Hour, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
You bet. Have a blessed day, and we'll be back after this 3-minute break. Stay tuned to the Power Hour.
Independent.